Donald Trump called on Republicans to defund the FBI and DOJ after he was arrested and arraigned on 34 felony charges Tuesday. Meanwhile, Republicans are threatening retaliation by openly admitting they'll use the justice system to go after Joe Biden. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Donald Trump's allies have spent the last few days claiming Trump is actually enjoying the media spectacle around his indictment and even the process of surrendering himself for arrest.
Trump, for his part, is reportedly downplaying his predicament behind closed doors. According to a news story in the New York Times, the former president has told friends and associates that he welcomes the idea of being paraded around by the authorities, surrounded by the media. Trump has also reportedly mused openly about whether to smile for the cameras during a possible perp walk and described the potential situation as a fun experience.
Oh, it's going to be a fun experience is definitely a lie you'd tell people when you were scared less. That's 100% what I would say right before skydiving. This is going to be so great. I just can't decide if I'm going to smile or not. The only way you can possibly find the experience of getting arrested fun is if everything about your life is absolutely miserable, which I guess applies to Donald Trump. I mean, look at him. That was taken right after someone said there were free donuts in the break room. The man is constantly enraged. And I know I'm wasting my time saying this, but I think a person describing a perp walk as a fun experience is disqualifying for the office of president. So put that on my list that nobody gives a about right after staring into the clips and right before called Apple CEO Tim Cook Tim Apple. Nothing involving the criminal justice system is fun. Oh, sure. You might think it's fun to be one of the guys they bring in to fill out a police lineup. Well, I used to do that for a little extra money back in the day, and it was fun. Till the day I got fingered for the liquor store that BJ Novak knocked over. I should have known it was him, because you know what he did to the security camera? Donald Trump thought it'd be fun to be arraigned in New York City. Nothing involving the criminal justice system is fun, especially in New York. If they told me I won the lottery, but I have to go to the Manhattan courthouse to pick up the check, I'd think, I don't mind working. But here's one thing I could tell you, just as an outside observer who has watched Donald Trump for many years now, the man is not having fun. For one thing, he wasn't paraded around by authorities. He moped through the hallways of the criminal courthouse, surrounded by officers who didn't even hold the door open for him. He had to hold the door open, and that's probably the first time in his life he's had to do that. If Trump walked up to a door without anyone else around to help, he'd be totally stumped. Oh boy, okay, now what are we looking at here? I should remember this from my real estate days. Rectangular, little shape, tiny metallic pumpkin, not sure what the little pumpkin does. You know what, I'm just gonna try the door open. Let's see if that works. Excuse me, door, you're being a very nasty door. You're a biased left-wing door. They gave me a Hillary door. Hashtag fake door. But when you actually look at Donald Trump's face sitting down in that courtroom, you can tell this is not a man who's having fun. I mean, look at him. That's how I look when I fall asleep on the couch and wake up after dark. Again, it's worth taking in this image because whatever else you want to say about it, it's definitely historic. This is a former president sitting in a criminal court as a defendant surrounded by his legal team. The only thing that was missing was a record scratch followed by an internal monologue. Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. Well, sit back because it's a pretty crazy story. So Trump and his team wanted us all to think he was enjoying the experience, that it was fun, and that it would benefit him politically, which is BS. This is all part of the shtick. Trump wants us to think everything he does is by design, that it's all part of his master plan, that he's playing four-dimensional chess, and he's always getting the best of us, and he's loving every minute of it. But it's not true. I mean, look at him. He's used to sitting with kings and CEOs, and now he's sitting in a chair that 5 minutes before he walked in was used by a guy who pled not guilty to one charge of exposing himself to a squirrel in Central Park. Sorry, Your Honor, I just thought that squirrels like... No! Will you please advise the defendant to refrain from making jokes about his nuts? I assure you, this being the Manhattan criminal court, we've heard all the nuts jokes before. All right, bailiff, next case. That's just how judges talk in New York City. Yeah, we're on the next card, Wally. Let me tell you something. Wally Fairson, best in the biz. When it comes to cue cards, crapped out there hard. It was a real brain feast by Wally.
It sounded like an ad lib.
It sounded like an ad lib.
Yeah, so it was so good.
All those words were on the card, Wally.
Yeah.
You know, I don't come up with my own ideas, Wally. Sal puts them in my head. But that's why this image is so important. It shows that even a guy who was not too long ago the most powerful man in the world, a guy who controlled our nuclear arsenal and rode around in a presidential limo and entered every room to hail to the chief, had to sit in that courthouse in front of a judge, just like everyone else accused of breaking the law. In fact, if you ask me, they should have made a real New York experience and towed his plane while he was inside. Rudy, what the? Sorry, boss, I could have sworn I put enough quarters in the meter. Although they might have been my buttons. Was getting arrested as much fun as you thought it would be? In fact, he's been freaking out. I know you were really excited. In fact, he's been freaking out so much that today he wrote in an all-caps social media post, the Republicans should defund the DOJ and FBI until they come to their senses. It's going to be so funny the next time a Republican tries to pretend this never happened and claims Democrats are the ones who want to defund the police. Joe Biden should have this post printed out and wear it like a sandwich board wherever he goes. Donald Trump wants to defund the police at $5 footlongs. They're back. They were gone and I brought them back now. They're back. They're back, Jack. $5 a footlong, $5. I brought them back. Chips are extra. Now, as for the merits of the case, we did learn a lot more from the charging document yesterday, like the fact that Trump finalized the details of the scheme with his fixer, Michael Cohen, in the Oval Office, or the fact that Trump also thanked another key player in the scheme, former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker, during his presidential transition, and invited him to both the inauguration and dinner at the White House. Those revelations make clear that this is not just a case about Trump having an affair or even paying hush money, which, if done right, is not a crime, despite the fact that Trump's allies on Fox have all tried to make it sound like this was just a silly bookkeeping error, or that it's something that happens all the time.
You're going to break 200 years of U.S. precedent about indicting your political opponents over a business records charge?
We were told by the Democrats in the media that your private life's your private life. Everything was consensual. Now, all of a sudden, consensual is a felony? And they're literally prosecuting the former president over sex?
In fact, settlements like this, whatever you think of them, are common, both among famous people, celebrities, and in corporate America. The result is usually known as an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. In this case, you can believe whatever side you want to believe, but paying people not to talk about things, hush money, is ordinary in modern America.
This must have cost the taxpayers of New York tens of millions of dollars, the security coverage for this situation. And you just said it, over what? Over $130,000 completely legal non-disclosure agreement payment. You know, these things happen all day, every day in the United States of America.
That's not a defense, that's a confession. If you think illegal hush money payments happen all the time, you're telling us an awful lot about how the wealthy elite in this country operate. Come on, who among us hasn't accidentally strangled the butler and buried them in the garden? It happens all the time. I'm on my third butler this month. But think about that, though. They went from saying Donald Trump is a champion of the working class who's fighting the establishment, taking on the elites, to saying his hush money scheme was no big deal because rich celebrities do it all the time. I hope Trump starts incorporating that at his rallies. You normies wouldn't understand, but rich, famous guys like me, we have sex with porn stars all the time, all the time. That's why I'm introducing a bill to make it legal, and we're calling it the Concealing Relationships and Monetary Enterprises Act, a.k.a. the Crime Act. Oh, dang it, I've done it again. Donald, you gotta pay attention to the letters. They make an acronym. But in the charging document yesterday, the district attorney made it clear that this case is about a lot more than just bookkeeping or a sex scandal. Trump funneled money from his business to a fixer to silence an adult film star weeks before an election to help his campaign and become the most powerful man in the world. It was a plot to hide information from the public and affect the outcome of an election. And by the way, who knows if it would have? Probably not. He probably could have done a campaign event in the lobby of the hotel where he had the affair, and his supporters would have still lined up to take selfies. I'm gonna head up to the room now any minute, and then any minute after that, I'll be right back down to tell you how it went. Well, I don't think you'll have time to run to the bathroom. I'd stick around. After his court appearance yesterday, Trump flew back to Mar-a-Lago to give a speech to supporters where he whined about the usual bullshit and only briefly mentioned the indictment.
This fake case was brought only to interfere with the upcoming 2024 election, and it should be dropped immediately.
Say whatever you want about the charges, but it's not a fake case, I assure you. You were really there in a very real courtroom facing very real felony charges, although Trump is insane, so maybe he does think the case is fake. Maybe he thinks it's just a Truman Show situation. He's on a giant set. It's a fake case, and all I have to do at the end is walk up those stairs and out that door. But instead of just letting this case play out as it should, Republicans are threatening retaliation and revenge. GOP Congressman James Comer has said on Fox today he's gotten multiple calls from prosecutors in red states looking for ways to go after Joe Biden.
I had 2 calls yesterday, one from a county attorney in Kentucky and one from a county attorney in Tennessee. They were Republican, obviously, both states are heavily Republican. They want to know if there are ways they can go after the Bidens now.
I don't know. Did Joe Biden pay hush money to a porn star in Tennessee? Because if not, you're out of luck, bud. Because that's not how it works. Trump's businesses are in New York. He committed the alleged crime in New York. New York has jurisdiction. That's why Trump is being charged with falsifying business records in Manhattan and not, say, street racing a Stingray in Chattanooga, which, if Joe Biden did, by all means arrest him. If you can catch him. No, those Biden boys! We're gonna catch them Biden boys! Also, these guys they're just such morons. You went on TV and confessed that Republicans are looking for ways to manipulate the justice system to go after Biden as political revenge. If those prosecutors in Kentucky and Tennessee ever do bring a case, all the defense has to do is play this clip, and the judge will say the court rules that you are, and this is the legal term, a massive doink. Whatever. Whatever else you may think of this case, the image of Trump in that courthouse sent a message. A former president had to face the criminal justice system the same way anyone else would under the same circumstances. Trump may be pretending he's enjoying all of this, but I assure you, when he was in that courthouse, hearing the charges read out loud, his stomach
dropped immediately.
This has been A Closer Look.